Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to plunge into some really fascinating sources and pull out the insights that, well, that truly matter.
That's right.
And today, we're doing more than just cracking open a book. Think of it like we're pushing through those dusty saloon doors right into the raw, unforgiving heart of the Old West.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not your typical cowboy story.
No, definitely not. This is really a deep dive into, let's say, the messy parts of human nature, survival, and those unexpected bonds people form when the law is, well, it's kind of fluid, isn't it? Often brutal.
Absolutely. And our mission today, it's a custom exploration of Frank Leslie's really compelling novel, The Wild Breed. We're going to unpack the journey of Yakima Henry. He's a half-breed drifter, and we follow him navigating this landscape that's just, it's filled with brutal violence, but also these surprising alliances. And, you know, the ghosts of his past are always there.
Right. So we'll be digging into this really rich source material. We're focusing on Yakima himself, his character, the conflicts he's always bumping up against, and that backdrop, the American Southwest, northern Mexico.
Yeah.
It feels so vivid, almost like another character.
It really does. And the story challenges, you know, our ideas of justice, loyalty.
Right.
What it even means to be wild in a place like that.
Okay, so let's start with the man himself, Yakima Henry. Paint us a picture.
All right, so picture this guy. He's tall, broad-shouldered, very muscular. You often see him in a sweat-stained buckskin tunic, maybe some blue denims, brush-scarred chaps.
Sounds rugged.
Very. But the thing that really stands out visually is this necklace. It's made of large, curved, grizzly bear teeth. Pretty unique.
Wow, yeah. That says something immediately, doesn't it? Like a connection to the wild.
Exactly. And he's not really ever alone. He's got this horse, a blaze-faced coal-black Mustang named Wolf.
Wolf. Good name.
That's right. Same kind of untamed spirit.
Yeah.
And then there's the rifle, his signature Winchester Yellow Boy. It's like an extension of him, always ready.
Always ready for trouble, which seems to find him pretty quick.
Yeah.
What kicks off this particular story?
It starts with a real gut punch for him. Stolen horses. Yeah, he'd put weeks of hard work into breaking these Mustangs. He was planning to sell them to the army at Fort Huachuca.
Okay, so it's his livelihood.
Exactly. And he comes back one day, corral's empty, just gone. And that theft, it just lights a fire under him, sets him off on this relentless pursuit. That's our initial conflict.
And where does that pursuit lead him first?
Straight into trouble, naturally. He tracks the rustlers to this small, unnamed town. Not much there, really, just a handful of log and adobe buildings.
Right.
And the first place he checks, the saloon, of course.
Always the saloon. And I bet the tension in there is palpable.
Oh, you can cut it with a knife. The book describes these 4 hard-faced hombres playing cards. One guy, thick red beard, matched Smith & Wesson's. You get the picture.
Yeah, not welcoming types.
Not at all. And the second Yakima walks in, bam, hostility. They immediately start in with the racial slurs, calling him a half-breed.
Ugh. So prejudice right off the bat.
Instantly.
Yeah.
And it just erupts. Violence, lightning fast. Yakima smashes one guy's head, gets shot in the arm himself, but then
he fights back. Hard.
Oh, yeah. 3 quick rounds from that Winchester. The book has this great line about the empty shells clinking like the last dying notes of a player piano. Brutal efficiency.
So this immediate clash tells you a lot about his world, right?
Yeah.
Violence is always simmering just below the surface.
Always. It shows the brutal reality, how quickly things escalate, especially with the racial tensions. Yakima's response isn't just self-defense. It's him, refusing to be pushed around, asserting himself.
But the fight doesn't end there, does it? The law shows up.
Yeah, right. Deputy Sheriff Stars appear, and Yakima knows he's got a bolt. Turns out he's got a history in this town.
Oh.
Yeah, he'd been banned for a month previously. Apparently he broke up the mercantile pretty good, and the jaws of the mercantiler's 2 sons along with it.
Okay, so he's not exactly subtle.
Not his style. So total defiance again. He takes out 2 deputies, leaves another one incapacitated, and makes his escape. It's a violent intro, right? Shows how little respect he has for that kind of law.
So he's wounded, on the run again.
Yeah.
Where does he go?
He needs refuge, somewhere to patch himself up. And he heads to a familiar place, though it's complicated. Sabina Flores' adobe casa. It's out in the broken country.
Sabina Flores. Tell us about her.
The book describes her as a young Mexican woman, calls her the best pleasure girl in southern Arizona. Her clients, everyone from well-mannered banditos to wealthy dons.
Interesting clientele. And their relationship.
It's intimate. There's this scene where she's removing buckshot from his side, using tweezers and a a narrow-bladed, bone-handled knife, and tequila for disinfectant, of course.
That sounds painful.
It is, but there's a tenderness there, too. It hints at something deeper beneath his whole lone wolf exterior.
Does it show a different side of Yakima?
Definitely. He's actually thinking about how his larder is depleted, how he usually brings her gifts, coffee, sugar, tobacco. He feels bad showing up just, wounded and empty-handed this time.
So she represents maybe a bit of softness, a potential home.
Perhaps, a fleeting sense of it anyway, a brief escape from that solitary, dangerous life he leads. It suggests maybe he does long for connection, even if he fights it.
But peace never lasts long for him, does it? Who shows up next?
Just as he's trying to heal, Sheriff Spears arrives. Unexpectedly.
And Yakima knows him.
Instantly. And Spears reveals they have history. He says Yakima saved his hide down in Mexico once, mentions a note due. So there's this dynamic of, grudging respect already established.
Okay, so maybe Spears isn't there to arrest him?
Quite the opposite, actually. This is where it gets really surprising. Spears tries to hire Yakima as a deputy.
What? After Yakima just took out 3 of his men?
Exactly. Spears basically says, look, I done lost 3 deputies because of you. I can't kill the damn bobcat, so I might as well put him to work.
Wow. That's pragmatic frontier justice, I guess. It really speaks to Yakima's skills, doesn't it?
Absolutely. A huge, if grudging, acknowledgement of how formidable he is. And it shows how alliances shift in that world. Law isn't always clear-cut.
Now, something else happens during this conversation with Spears. Something that really throws Yakima.
Yeah, this is a huge turning point. Spears just casually drops a name. Faith.
Faith. And Yakima's reaction.
It's profound. The book says it sets the back of his neck to burning and his loins to pricking. It's visceral. This isn't just any name.
It clearly signals a deep emotional past. Someone important he left behind.
Precisely. And it doesn't stay a hint for long. Yakima becomes obsessed, tracks her down to this deserted village, Yaqui Springs.
And he finds her.
He finds her. But she's not alone. She's with a man, Ace Kavanaugh, a professional gambler, and then she drops the bomb. Ace is her husband.
Oof. My husband. How does Yakima take that?
Like a horse kick to the gut, according to the text. He sees her, even in rough, dusty clothes, as the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. He's just reeling, struggling to keep it together, fighting the urge to just scream, why?
So this reunion forces him right back into a past he probably thought was buried. Intense.
Incredibly intense. And now he's sort of stuck with her group, this collection of people traveling with Faith and Ace.
And right around this time, we get that memorable rattlesnake incident.
Ah, yes. It's such a great scene. A bit lighter, maybe, but it perfectly shows Yakima's unique skills.
Tell us about it.
So one of the group, Willie Stiles, wakes up, and there's a diamondback rattler coiled right in his crotch area in his bedroll.
Terrifying. Panic ensues.
Total panic from the group. But Yakima, he's completely calm, walks over, slowly peels back the blanket.
Don't tell me.
Yep. Seizes the viper with his bare hand, just grabs it and flings it away.
Wow. Okay. That definitely sets him apart. Shows his connection to the wild, his nerve.
Exactly. It's a fantastic little moment that underscores his frontier skills, his cool head, sort of prepares you for the even bigger dangers coming as they head deeper into Mexico.
Right, because the journey continues south.
Yeah.
And the danger ramps up immediately, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. They cross into Mexico, and almost right away they realize they're being tracked by banditos.
Any idea why? Or just random bad luck?
Not random. Turns out the banditos were sent by Senor Lopez. Remember him? The guy Yakima assaulted back in that Nogales whorehouse.
Consequences. His recklessness coming back to bite him.
Exactly. No matter how far he rides, that past just keeps catching up.
And the journey gets darker still. There's a really disturbing scene Yakima witnesses.
Yeah, this one's tough. He's scouting ahead, using his spyglass, and he sees Captain Luis Ramon Lazaro. He's a Mexican rural captain and his men attacking an Apache village.
It's brutal.
Horrific. The book details Lazaro's men capturing and abusing an Apache woman. Then Lazaro himself assaults her, and then he scalps her, alive. Holds up the scalp, the hair blowing in the breeze.
That's incredibly graphic. Chilling.
It is. It's meant to be. It shows the absolute depth of savagery that unchecked power can lead to in this setting. It really fuels the later themes of vengeance.
How does Yakima react seeing this? He's no stranger to violence, but this seems different.
It hits him hard. His blood boiled, his hands quivered with suppressed rage, but he's outnumbered. Hopelessly, he's forced to just watch, unable to intervene.
That must be agonizing for him. What does that inability to act tell us about this world?
It highlights the brutal reality. Individual strength, even Yakima's, means little against organized, systemic cruelty like Lazaro's rurales. It shows the moral compromises forced by survival. You can't always be the hero. Sometimes you just have to live with what you see.
And it's against this backdrop of brutality that we meet another key figure, right? Leonora Domingo.
Yes, the wildcat of Sonora. She bursts onto the scene, described as singularly beautiful, but also wild-looking. She's half Apache, and she leads a band of revolutionaries.
The Wildcat. Sounds formidable.
She is, and she's got firepower, commands a Gatling gun.
A Gatling gun.
Okay.
And what's her story? Why is she fighting?
It's personal and brutal. Her family was massacred by Lazaro. She was raped by his officers. Her man was executed by him. Her fight is pure vengeance.
So she and Lazaro have a history.
A deadly one.
Uh-huh.
She specifically targets scalp hunters, too, because Lazaro runs this bounty system that pays for Apache scalps, but it encourages killing anyone, mestizos, peons, and passing them off as Apache.
Good grief. The corruption runs deep.
Deep and bloody. There's this really stark, chilling image the book paints. Leonora shows them this rack where they display the bodies of scalp hunters they've caught, some decomposed, one poor soul apparently still alive after 3 days, wearing the scalps of 3 Apache children.
That's horrifying. It really underscores her own brutal form of justice, doesn't it? The cycle of violence.
Absolutely. It completely warps any conventional sense of right and wrong. It's justice born from pure trauma and rage.
And Leonora sees something in Yakima.
She seems to. She propositions him, asks for his help in her fight against Lazaro, hints at a shared destiny, maybe. And she's alluring. She even tries to seduce him at one point.
So Yakima's caught in this web now. His past with Faith, this sort of fragile comfort with Sabina, and now Leonora, this dangerous revolutionary figure.
Exactly. It's a massive internal conflict for him. Each woman pulls him in a different direction. Faith represents that lost chance at a different life, a home. Sabina offers that quiet comfort, belonging. Leonora is the wild frontier embodied vengeance, purpose, danger.
It really forces him to confront what he wants, right?
Oh,
Is freedom being alone, or is it found in these messy connections?
that's the core question, I think. Can the lone drifter actually find a place, or will he always be wild?
Okay, so the group, with all this internal and external tension, eventually reaches a town called Tocando. What's the vibe there?
Grim. Very grim. The first thing you notice is the prison, the stench. The sight of it dominates the town. And they hear sounds. A firing squad. Cries from inside the prison walls. Sets a really oppressive tone right away. You know Lazaro's rule is harsh.
Not a welcoming place. And they need to get Kelly, Faith's brother, out of that prison. How do they approach it?
Faith and Ace meet a supposed liaison, Mateo Chavez, described as gawky hangdog. He offers to arrange a prison visit for $50 in gold, of course.
Of course, there's always a price.
Always. And Chavez warns them Lazaro never deals with Americanos directly. It just screams corruption and danger. You know this isn't going to be simple.
And it isn't. Things escalate quickly, don't they? Back in a saloon, naturally.
Naturally. Lazaro himself makes this grand entrance, rurales in tow. He looks savage, half-drunk, and Chavez's betrayal is immediately obvious.
What happens?
Lazaro starts insulting Faith and her group. He targets Kelly Larson, calls him a depraved weapons merchant, accuses him of running rifles to the Apaches. The tension just skyrockets.
And then he turns on Faith herself.
Yeah, it gets incredibly ugly. He strikes her, rips her chemise, exposes her, turns it into this degrading spectacle for his men. Pure power play. Utter depravity.
That must be the breaking point.
Absolutely. Yakima just snaps. Jaws hard, fists clenched, he lunges, and then all hell breaks loose. Brahma and Styles jump in. Styles throws a Bowie knife thumps right into a sergeant's chest. Pop Longley starts firing from a balcony. Just chaos.
A full-blown shootout. Does Lazaro go down?
He gets wounded, but no, he manages to escape. But the saloon is a mess. Bodies everywhere. Gun smoke thick in the air.
So Lazaro's still out there, but wounded. What's the group's next move?
A desperate, daring plan. They decide to kidnap the wounded Lazaro, track him down, strip him naked to make him a little more cooperative, and throw him in a wagon.
Kidnap the captain. Risky. What's the goal?
Leverage. Use him to force Kelly's release.
So they take Lazaro to the prison.
Right up to the gates. They force Lazaro, still naked, except for his shirt, to order his lieutenant, a guy named Montana, to release Kelly.
Talk about tense. Does it work?
It does. You can feel the tension as Montana hesitates, but he complies. Kelly's brought out, weak, barely conscious. The book mentions he'd been doing 18 hours a day of hard labor building a road.
Brutal. So they get Kelly, but Lazaro.
Ah, the price of freedom, as they say. In the commotion of the exchange, Lazaro escapes again.
Oh, no. He just won't stay down.
Nope. And his escape triggers a frantic pursuit by the rurals. And this is where the group pays dearly.
Heavy losses.
Very heavy. Willie Stiles, the guy with the snake incident, he's killed, shot in the chest. Pop Longley gets injured again. And Ace Kavanaugh, Faith's husband,
What happens to Ace?
crushed by a massive wagon-sized boulder that gets dislodged from a ridge during the chase. Just horrific, sudden frontier death. It really hammers home the brutal stakes.
Devastating. How do Yakima and Faith even survive this?
Just when things look utterly hopeless, Leonora Domingo shows up again, like a force of nature.
The wildcat returns.
She guides Yakima and Faith into this hidden cave system. It leads to an underground river,
An escape route.
a terrifying one. They have to navigate these dark, echoing tunnels and then make this desperate swim through a fast-flowing river, apparently 40 feet deep, pitch black, freezing cold, pure survival mode.
Do they all make it?
Another tragedy strikes. Lou Brahma, another member of the group, he couldn't swim. They find his body downstream later, and the book adds this chilling detail. 2 quarter-sized holes in his chest.
Lazaro.
It has to be. He somehow survived the landslide, the river. He's relentless, like a phantom driven by pure malice.
Which leads to the final confrontation.
Exactly. Lazar's last stand. He corners Faith by the riverbank. He looks terrible, like a cadaver, the text says, but he's still dangerous, knife pressed right to her chin.
And Yakima.
He's disarmed. He has no choice but to surrender to save Faith. Puts her safety first. It looks like Lazaro's finally won.
There has to be a twist.
There is Leonora Domingo. She reappears, emerging from the river, herself described as basically naked except for a torn blouse and men's underwear, utterly primal.
And she confronts Lazaro.
Face to face, and then she stabs him, brutally, in the back. And then, in a final act echoing Lazaro's own cruelty, she scalps him.
Wow. Full circle.
Completely. She holds up his long blue-black hair and says something like, "I will wear yours for a trophy just the same as you've worn so many of ours." It's her ultimate revenge. Brutal personal justice delivered by the wildcat.
So Lazaro is finally truly gone. What happens next for Yakima and Faith?
A moment of quiet, finally. Faith is shaken, obviously, but safe. She embraces Yakima, and she tells him, basically, when we get back to Arizona, you're going to have a much tougher time getting away from me than you did last time.
A declaration. She's choosing him, choosing them.
Pretty much. Signaling her commitment, maybe hinting that his grifter days might finally be over.
And Yakima. How does he respond? Does he run again?
No. He just says simply, yeah, I reckon I will. It's quiet, but it feels like acceptance. Maybe he's ready for that path, ready for a home he never let himself have before.
So, stepping back from the story, the wild breed, it's clearly more than just shootouts and chases.
Oh, absolutely. It's a really deep look at these complex characters. They're all driven by these powerful forces, loyalty, revenge, just basic survival.
And Yakima Henry himself, he's called wild. He tries to be this lone wolf, but he's constantly forced into these moral choices, these relationships that shape him, challenge that identity.
Exactly. He's not static. He evolves, or maybe the world forces him to confront parts of himself he tried to deny.
So what does this deep dive tell us, maybe about justice? Especially when the official systems, like Lazaro's rurales, are so corrupt and brutal.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about how personal vengeance, as raw and brutal as it is in the book, sometimes becomes the only understandable response to that kind of extreme violence and systemic failure. It's not pretty, but maybe it's necessary in that world.
A very unsettling thought. Okay, so as we wrap this up, let's leave our listeners with something to chew on. Considering this world we've explored, a world where the heroes are deeply flawed, maybe even anti-heroes, like Yakima or Leonora, and the villains sometimes operate under a twisted kind of order. How do we even define wildness versus civilization?
Good question. Where's the line?
Yeah, and maybe, what's the real cost of finding your freedom? Or perhaps finally finding your home?